Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're revisiting Rocky Glen Park Lake here in Moosic, Pennsylvania. This is a location I made numerous videos of, and most recently I was here back in December when this lake was first drained. And right now I'd normally be underwater, but we're going to do an update and see what has changed since December, since I was last here. So if you're ready, come along with me. Alright, so we're going to kind of do this video in reverse. Normally I start at the dam and work my way to the back, but this time I'm going to start near the back of the lake, or at least the middle of it, and work our way back toward the dam. And right now we are walking on lake bed. This is the sandy beach area, and at one time before December this was completely underwater and was a very popular swimming hole. And what we're looking at in front of us here, we got some timbers and some pieces of lumber, and I believe this is an area where a slide used to be in the water. I'll see if I can find a picture of that and put it on the screen, but this was definitely an area where they had one of the slides for the public to slide into the lake. But as you can see, there is water still here. That's because this is constantly being fed from Stafford Meadow Brook. It's a stream running initially down from Lake Scranton, then to number 5 dam below Montage Mountain, and eventually makes its way here. It's a freshwater stream. I believe it's a natural spring at some areas too. And that's what provides the water for Rocky Glen. Now it is still opened up by the dam to release the water, but it is actually plugged up pretty bad. And the water in the outlet area near the dam is pretty stale and stagnant and stinks pretty bad. So it's kind of sad what has happened to the lake. It's nowhere as beautiful as it used to be. And as we walk around too, you'll see garbage everywhere. Some of it is fresh garbage from people being here after the lake has been drained. A lot of it though has been in the bottom of the water, the bottom of the lake, since the park closed. So there are a few key areas I do want to show you here, and any facts or information I'm able to share with you I will. But right now, as I mentioned, we're in Sandy Beach area, and we're going to be heading towards the middle. If you could kind of see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. There is like a channel right here. It looks like a little road. And that's going to be our first destination that we're going to check out. I'm going to share what that is all about. So I'll see you over there. Now, for those of you that missed my video back in December when I first showed how the lake looked when it was drained, and we found some items in the bottom of the lake, I will have it linked down below in the description. You can check that out. And that way you can kind of see before and after how it looks 7 months earlier, 7 months later. So down below in the description you'll find a link to that. And also my merchandise shop where you'll find new items just like this shirt right here. One of my brand new t-shirt designs. So if you're down there in the description area, head on over, check it out, and you may find something that you like. As we're making our way across the lake here, we could always see remnants of things that were underwater. You can see part of a cooler right there. It's all stained from the water. Lots of tin cans and garbage. So it's just a shame that it is in the condition it's in, but it does remind you that people have been here and leaving their litter behind for decades now. Park closed in, I believe, 88, 87. And now it's more of an ATV park, party spot. And I mean, it's a nice, peaceful area, but unfortunately people don't have enough common sense to pick up their litter and garbage. So we always advise, if you come here respectfully, walk around, enjoy it. But don't leave any traces that you were here with garbage, graffiti, so on and so forth. So just wanted to pass that along. Okay, so what we're looking at here is something that was never seen until the lake has been drained, and drained to the point that it got low enough to see this. But this is actually an old road. This was constructed for a specific reason. Now, I didn't realize what it was about until Andy from Rocky Glen Park Memories Facebook group informed me about it. And this road was constructed to help with the construction of the $1 Million Coaster. Now that's something I will show a picture of, but $1 Million Coaster was basically right along that shoreline there, partly in the water, partly on land. And they said that this road was constructed to bring materials over to help construct that. So once they were finished with the construction, they refilled in the section of the lake. I don't know if they dammed it up or just lowered the lake level, but this was definitely a man-made road built specifically for the $1 Million Coaster. And it's pretty neat because it allows us to walk out right to the middle of the lake. And as I pan over too, you'll see the lake is littered with tree stumps. This was a man-made lake constructed specifically for Rocky Glen, and it was initially a forest, just like you see right here. It was all trees, and they were all chopped down to construct the lake. Now this is the shallower part of the lake. Further back we go, the shallower it gets. It's also the better fishing area back there because it's less touched. And the deeper area was where we're looking straight ahead here. They used to have the boat rides out here, the paddle boat, steamboat. They also have a hole that they have for high dive swimming, which I'll show that later on. But we're going to focus on this right now. Take you for a little walk out here as far as I could go. I mean, this would never be possible, you know, 8-9 months ago. I would be underwater, probably looking at the shoreline, probably to my neck area. The water, you know, you can see the embankment there, and that would have been up to my head. And here you can see there's a pipe running through here. That's because there's actually a water main somewhere in the lake here. I know people have mentioned about it, and I'm sure this is partly due to being connected to it. So we can see pipe's not in the best conditions. There's actually oil in the water too. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but the oil's like swirls and stuff like that. And this is pretty much the only thing right here that's keeping water in that part of the lake. If this was dammed up, you know, it would be more of a problem. But another question I was asked too is what happened to the wildlife here. This lake was stocked with bass, pickerel, bluegill, sunnies, and it's a great fishing spot. And I honestly can't answer that. As far as I know, there's still fish here. I do see them splashing from time to time. I can't imagine the whole population is surviving though in this shallow body of water, especially now that it's kind of backed up and stagnant and oil in it. So my hope is that they removed a lot of the fish and relocated them, but my guess is that they probably didn't. But either way though, this is something I wanted to share with you because we weren't able to see it normally, and I never knew even existed until the levels dropped to where they are. And the pipe does continue straight on, but it's just surreal standing here in the middle of a lake that I swam in, gone fishing in, boating in, and now I'm standing in the middle of it on dry land. Just wanted to give you the view, you know, how I look here. It's hard to imagine, you know, I'd be up to water right here looking at the land, but the future is unknown. There is some other changes that were made here since December that I'm going to show you over near the outlet area, and that will maybe help piece together what they're doing. But Andy and myself were here, I think a week or two ago. We did a live stream specifically for the Rocky Glen Memories Facebook group and gave an update, and I figured I'd come here and do an update for you guys as well. I know there's a lot of people locally who have ties to this park. As for myself, I came here as a kid in the 80s. My brother and sister worked here. I remember sitting on the Greenwood fire truck top watching the fireworks at night. I remember some of the rides. So this has a lot of history to locals like myself. And living only a few minutes away, I like to come here occasionally just to reminisce, just to think, sometimes just to clear my mind, and just to see how it looks, you know, so many decades after it closed. But enough of me rambling. Let's continue on with the video. And to those who are curious as well, I actually made a video last year, I think it was, possibly the year before, showing what the back of Rocky Glen Lake looks like. I actually walked all the way around the lake. It took me a good time to get around it, but I did show where the stream was feeding into the lake and showed some cool tunnels and stuff like that and remnants of the Laurel Line. So if you want to see that video, that will be found also down below in the description. Now you may be wondering too, are you allowed to come here and do some metal detecting? I can't say for sure whether or not you're allowed to, but it's definitely been done. Initially, when the lake was first drained, sliding in some mud here, this place was scoured with people here metal detecting, scavenging, looking for items, including myself. And we found, you know, some old ride carts. I think it was one of the bumper cars we found, or a pretzel car. I can't remember offhand. But people did find coins, tokens, I believe some glassware or dishware, and some other unique items that were found in the lake bed that dropped, you know, probably back in operation 40, 50, 60 years ago. So I'm sure there's still items here to be found. But again, I can't confirm or deny whether or not you're allowed to come here and do that, but I just know for a fact people have been here, and this has been covered pretty extensively, because not every day you get to walk a almost dried out lake bed that was once part of an amusement park. So in case you're wondering, that's my thoughts on it. So making our way over towards our next destination, I just wanted to share a little area here. There's a close look at some of the tree stumps. This one's completely rotted and hollowed out. And as we get near the water's edge here, I can't get too close. It is kind of soggy and soft. Oh, something just jumped right there. But there is more oil here. It's very sad to see that it's in this bad a condition. I don't know where the oil is coming from either. There's some minnows in there. Sorry about the wind too. Some planks of wood and concrete here. You can see cinder blocks, some other things in the water. And there's just tree stumps and tires and other kinds of crap. Now this water right here, right in front of us, is only 2 to 3 feet deep. But over there is where it was the deepest part. When it was filled up, it was around 20 to 25 feet deep, maybe 30 at the deepest. And right now, I'm guessing it's probably around maybe 5-6 feet. But we're gonna head over that area now. And once we get up here, this is where the dance hall was, the Penny Arcade, and the ghost town area. I'm gonna show you a lot of the garbage that is littered along the bank of the concrete wall. And then we'll show you the dock area where the paddle boats were, the hole where the high dive was, and then we'll make our way over to the outlet over there. So it's probably hard to tell by looking here, but we are in the rear portion. We're standing behind the rear portion of the building here, the dance hall, the Penny Arcade. Well, this is a little dock area that was for the steamboat that used to operate here, and they used to park it here at night. I believe there used to be maybe a door that covered it, but it's hard to even imagine it now. But this was indeed a docking area for the boat to keep it covered and protected at night. But we're gonna scramble up here and continue on. Another rumor too is that this place is infested with snakes. Now, undoubtedly there are snakes here. I've witnessed them, Andy's witnessed them, and there's no denying that snakes are here. But as far as an infestation, that couldn't be farther from the truth. It's just like any wildlife area, especially that hasn't seen general activity in decades. It's going to get overgrown like it is with the foliage and have some more wildlife. But the amount of times I've been here since the park closed, I've encountered maybe 3 or 4 snakes, and they usually just slither right away as soon as they see anyone. But here's something I want to show you. We are alongside the walkway here, and this is pretty disgusting looking. A lot of this is garbage that was here since the lake had last had water in it. A lot of it is new garbage. I do see a lot of firework mortar tubes and stuff like that. That's all new, broken glass. But the tub has been here There actually was a refrigerator down here. Somebody removed that probably for scrap. There was, I think, a toilet. There's a suitcase right there. So it's utterly disgusting how this property went from something that's so beautiful and glorious into a dumping ground. Looks like maybe some rail or tubing there. But obviously the farther in the lake, you know, it's more clean. And this, up until, you know, a couple years ago, this is one of the more cleaner lakes that you could swim and fish in. I swam this lake. My daughter's been in here. And at one time I was, you know, boasting about this. I'm like, this is the best local swimming hole we could find. The water is crystal clear. Even in the middle, I used to sit on a raft. I'd be able to look straight down and see the bottom. And, you know, that's over 20 feet deep out there. And now it's just a shell of its former self. Now also too, looking across, you might see some little concrete square blocks. Those are footers for, some of them are for the $1 million coaster that was over there. Others are for a dock that a little miniature train used to ride on that went alongside the lake. So just to give you a little idea as to what we're looking at. So let's move on to the paddle boat dock area. It's like we got a big herring out there, a crane. But focusing on what's in front of us now, we do see this pool of water here. This was the high dive area. Let me actually zoom out more, give you a better look at it. I forget which direction it was, but there was a tall diving board out here in the water, and they used to do high dive acts, and they would jump into this. This is considerably deeper than the rest of the lake. Can't even see the bottom of it. There's actually fish in there too, which is good and bad at the same time, because good that there's wildlife in here, but they're trapped in here. They can't get out of this little pool of water. But I can't even see the bottom. I'm guessing that is probably at least 6 to 8 feet deep, if not deeper, than the rest of the lake itself. So this was specifically dug out for the high dive act. I believe it was probably around the Ghost Town era when they had that. There's actually it looks like a diving board right here. I'm not a pool expert, but I'm pretty sure that's a diving board. If you guys are able to confirm that, let me know. Looks like the blue color, looks like the mounting bracket there. That'd be something if that was actually the high dive used in the high dive act here. That's kind of bizarre. Let me zoom in, you might be able to see the fish there. Somebody coming down here on an ATV now too. Did have the place to myself, but this place is frequented by locals. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, what we're looking at here, these are little spawning beds. There's actually a fish right there. Each of these little circles, I thought they were from tires, are actually little spawning beds, and there's fish floating right inside of them. So, and you can take it how you want. It's good that they're reproducing, but again, this is completely sectioned off, and unless we get a really heavy rain and this fills up, they're going to be stuck in here. So what we're looking at right now is my old swimming hole. This is a place I used to come to swim away from the sandy beach area, because this is a nice white sand area and I had this area to myself. But this is the paddle boat dock area, and the dock itself is collapsed now, but this was standing, and there's a retaining wall there, another pool of water. But they used to do the paddle boats here where you load and unload to go out and have a good time with your friends on the boat. But it's slowly being overtaken by nature. But also too, if I didn't mention, I did do a underwater video of this lake. I actually swam around the perimeter of this lake all the way to the channel over there, so that will be linked down below as well if you want to see what the lake looked like underwater. It was kind of eerie, kind of awesome at the same time, but I would have done it again in a heartbeat. So here's some of the bizarre items you'll find here. There's a electrical panel. I know there was, I think, the safe down here, and that might be it. That might be maybe a refrigerator. But just lots of weird items you wouldn't expect to see on the bottom of a lake bed. I actually remember seeing the bottom of that chair too when I was swimming, that teal colored chair. That's been down there for years. And years ago, I actually almost drowned in this lake, believe it or not. My friend Dave and I were here swimming out in this area, and we were swimming underwater, trying to swim across, I believe it was one direction or the other, to the channel. And he did something to make me laugh, and I started laughing underwater, took in a mouthful of water, and nearly drowned. And he saved my life. He pulled me to shore. I know I lost my flip-flops, or whatever I was wearing at the time. In the bottom of the lake, I lost my snorkel and goggles, but he dragged me to shore here, and that was a terrifying experience, but it never stopped me from returning, though. I came back later that year and went swimming again, but just did it in a much safer way and made sure not to do something foolish like that again. So what we're looking at now, this is something else Andy has explained. The lake originally used to continue inwards. This is, for the most part, relatively new, this backfill here. The lake used to go right up to the building fronts, and you can see that in some of the earlier pictures. I think there's an aerial shot that I could show right now, and you'll see that the lake does extend probably another 50 feet inwards. And they wanted to create more space for people to walk and put rides, so they eventually built it out, and it's the way it's been ever since. But this is not the original design, though. It did continue inwards some distance. Okay, I might be going crazy here, but I think I found remnants of a paddle boat. What I thought was handlebars is actually, I believe, one of the paddle boat mechanisms. This, what I'm holding in my hand, is a paddle, like a pedal, and the other one is here as well. And there would have been probably, you know, another bar coming down, so they would, you know, paddle in unison to propel the boat. But I'm almost certain that's what this is. If you guys are able to confirm or deny that, let me know. But my money that this is a pedal from the paddle boats. And it's crazy that it's just laying here like that. So again, you can find some pretty cool stuff just snooping around here. So I'm kind of happy I found that. It's a relic now, but something that existed here at one point. Okay, so we're headed towards the most recent activity here of the lake since it's been drained. I just want to show you the steepness of this bank here and the depth of it. As I mentioned, the deepest part of the lake is over here. It was roughly 20 to 30 feet deep. And this bank goes down pretty steep and just keeps going down. You can't see the bottom right there. You can see it out there. There's some stumps and things sticking up, but down here still goes down another 5 to 6 feet, I'm guessing. But this was definitely the deeper part of the lake, and this is where the boats would have driven around. So we're gonna head over here now. I'm actually gonna keep it rolling for you. And this is where the most recent activity has been done in the last couple of months. Where we're walking right now, you'll see a big ravine here, a big cutout area, and this was never here. This was done in recent months here. And it's kind of peculiar. We don't know exactly why they did it. I know it has something to do with the drainage of the water here, but it hasn't been filled back in, and they actually planted grass here. But looking, this is where the $1 Million Coaster was. This is where the Laurel Line tracks were, the little train ride, and up there by that tree is where the outlet connects with the lake. There's a gap there, and that's initially how the lake spread over to the outlet, made its way to the dam. Well, with the construction of the lake, they actually made this. This is an underwater, if you want to call it a tunnel, a channel, whatever it is, but water was always flowing underneath the lake as well, or at least underneath the land. And this was created back when the lake was created. This is a way to channel water. I'm guessing that wasn't sufficient enough. Water wasn't moving fast enough. The lake was probably building up, so they ended up building that channel over there to help disperse the water. But looking down here, you can see there's some remnants in the water, different items, and it's getting plugged up actually from storms and heavy rain. So I'm going to get down there closer and give you a look at that and give you a look as to how it looks from down there. Okay, right along the water's edge now, and you can see there's some various items here underwater, and I don't know what they were for. Something to do with rides or structures, I'm guessing. There's a nice square block right there with some posts, and it's kind of deep right there too. And we got this platform here, and there's wood there, which we believe is remnants of the $1 Million coaster that was standing right here. And here's where the water was going in now. When I was here back in December, this was completely open. You're actually able to kind of see in there. Now it's getting all plugged up. It is still flowing, but soon it's going to be plugged up where it's not going to be penetrable for the water. But this is how it looks though down here in this ravine. Again, this was level land. They did cut this out as of recent, planted some grass, and I don't know if they have intentions to fill it back in. The dirt is actually out in the lower parking lot as we speak. There's a huge amount of dirt, and it's been there ever since they dug it out. And again, I don't know if they're going to fill this back in or not. We're thinking not, and if they don't, that means they're probably not going to fill the lake back in. But we could be wrong, and if someone knows any different, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts. But it's definitely some significant changes to the lake itself. And as far as we know, nothing has been touched with the dam, and that was the whole reason of draining the lake, to do dam remediation, which is dam repairs. Hasn't been touched, I think, since the 70s or 80s at the latest. So we're looking at over 30 years since any maintenance has been done. And I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but I'm just trying to get you to understand, what has been taking place here, and to kind of keep you up to date as to what has been taking place here. So I'm actually going to go up there. I'll show you where the old channel is, where the Laurel Line tracks used to go over, and then we'll head to the dam, and we'll probably wrap it up there. Okay, so we're now walking on the former rail bed of the Laurel Line trolley service. They used to come here from Scranton and continue down to Wilkes-Barre. It's been long gone. There are still remnants of it, and a section of it is still used on the other side of Montage Mountain Road by the Electric City Trolley Museum. Part of their excursion rides on a 3-mile section of the Laurel Line, but it did extend over to here. And here's the channel that I explained that was the only access that we knew that had water connecting from the main lake to the outlet. And this is how I remember it. This is probably 8-9 feet deep right now. And back in the 90s, I used to come here fishing with my brother. We used to bring our fishing boat right through here without a problem. And over the years, it's been built up with railroad ties, trees, junk, garbage, and it was only maybe 2-3 feet deep. But they did clear it out, and this is exactly how I remember it. This is a pretty deep channel, definitely deep enough for a boat to pass through. But that's straight across, heading over towards what's called Lover's Island. That's where the train and the coaster would have done their turnaround. And there is some water flowing down here as well. There's actually, up here is the old Erie-Lackawanna Railroad tracks. They're still up there in the woods. And on the other side of them, there's like a swamp. I guess you could call it a swamp, maybe like a pond. And there's actually a train bridge where the Erie-Lackawanna tracks go over. And under that bridge, there's water flowing under that's supplying this part here. So this is a separate feed, and I don't know the name of that. We did think it was originally called Covey Swamp, but we later learned it's not called that. But again, it's coming from the other side of the Erie-Lackawanna Railroad tracks over there. And just to give you a quick show over here, as I mentioned, those concrete blocks and footers that were used for the coaster and the train. Well, here's a look at them here. So here's the concrete blocks, and here's some remnants of the dock. So the train would have went right here, right alongside the coaster. The coaster was partly up here, partly over here with its structure, and of course the railroad tracks up there. But this is exactly where the miniature train ride went. There's actually footage of it and some photos. If I'm able to show anything, I will, if I can find it, but otherwise just use your imagination. But concrete blocks do extend over, and all the way around, and in the back there is a big, let me zoom in, might be able to see there's a big block over there with some wood sticking out of it, and that was a big anchor turnaround point for the coaster that held the supports for it. So you can see how far the coaster went and to what's left of it now. And again, some of the lumber here is reported from the $1 Million Coaster itself when they tore it down. So, I mean, it is still a beautiful area. I mean, it's very tranquil, serene. And if you didn't know what it was here, you'd think, oh, it's just a lake and looks like there's some buildings here. But, you know, this had so much history with the gunfights over there, the saloon area, the Swiss Cottage, the Red Barn was up there on the hill where they had concerts. Believe it or not, back in the 80s, Meatloaf played here, Bon Jovi, if I'm not mistaken, I think Huey Lewis and a few others. They kind of got started here and played here. KRZ, I think, used to broadcast here. They used to have Warm Days here, WVIA Days. So there was so much that went on here. There was Nickel Days, it was called Nickel Days at Rocky Glen. And I mean, in the woods there's just foundation structures, there's stone couches over there. And it is sad it's all gone. You know, people like my daughter will never know what was here except for seeing photos and videos. But I'm one of the last generations that was able to experience it growing up in the 80s. And that wasn't really the peak of it. You know, back in the 50s through the 70s was probably the highlight, the glory days of Rocky Glen. So I kind of saw it when it was kind of dwindling down, but still happy I got to experience it and able to hold on to those memories. Okay, so we're looking where we just were earlier. I was just up on top of there showing you the channel and the Loreline track area. We're now on the other side of this old channel, and you can see the water is still flowing through. It's not as fast as it was, but still making its way through. But this does go completely underground and connects with the main lake over there. It's almost big enough to kind of crawl through. There's probably a lot of garbage and glass in there. I probably wouldn't do that, but looking down here you can see some, looks like railroad ties, probably from the Loreline. But this is very well made though. This has been in existence for, geez, at least half a century, if not longer, maybe over a century. So they really built it to last. And you can see the water kind of channeling its way through. And this is called the outlet. And this is where the dam is straight ahead. This was another popular swimming area. There used to be a rope swing. That tree used to be standing, obviously. It used to be rope swing though. There used to be a lot of parties here and good times, memories made. And now it's turning into a stagnant pool of water. And over there is where the water is draining out under the dam. And the dam's over there. So I'll give you a close look at that and the other side of it. And then that'll complete our updated look at Rocky Glen Lake. So further downstream now, this is the area where we found the remnant of that ride, which we think was a bumper car. And it's found somewhere down here, and I actually have pictures of it, and it was caught in my first video back in December. And also on the other side too, there was a large metal structure, looked like a paddle wheel. We don't know what that was for, but it has, both items have since been removed. I can still see oil in the water here, which is not good. And we're gonna continue our way closer over here. And then again, this actually stinks right now. This water is pretty stagnant and it's polluted with oil and dirt and debris. Again, normally this was crystal clear water. And when we see over there, it's kind of almost entirely plugged up. They actually need to come and clean that out because it's just making for some bad conditions here. It's going to degrade the water quality for the fish and wildlife. So looking here, there is some timbers and structures. Again, this is believed to be part of the $1 Million Coaster. This is the area where it did run by. And it's still nailed together. It looks like they kind of just toppled it right into the outlet here. And this area is still pretty deep too. It's probably anywhere from 3 to 6 feet deep. And it's pretty deep in the middle there. And when I swam the lake, I actually swam over to here along the shore and got up close and personal with the dam. But still a good depth of water here, but it's just very cloudy and polluted though. So I'm going to continue forward Gonna give you a closest look that I can to the drainage pipes there. We'll go on top of the dam and then the other side of it. So enough of me talking, I'll just show you the footage. Okay, so hopefully you can see that on video. If you look in the water here, there is a metal skeleton type structure. And what it looks like initially, it was like a jungle gym area. You'd see this at a playground and kids would climb up on top of it and go underneath it. It's basically a hollow shell of pipes, almost like a dome shape. Well, we confirmed this was actually top of a ride that was here. I forget which ride it was, and I don't know if I could find a photo of it, but this was actually sitting on top of one of the rides, and when the ride would rotate, that would spin around as well. And it's probably about 5-6 feet in diameter. It's a good size object, but it's been sitting here since the park closed, and it looks like it's slowly rotting away, because I think when we were here back in December, it was actually completed. Like, we were able to see the dome top of it, and it looks like it's been kind of crushed in. So that's one of the remnants of the park here. But over here now is where the water is draining. On the other side of it was a little structure we called the pump house, and they removed it and exposed the pipes and valves there. And I'm zooming a little bit more, and it's hard to tell. I'm going to zoom in a tiny bit more here. There's a screen there. That pole is a depth meter, but there's a screen there, and the screen is all plugged up. The water, as you can see in front of it, is not even really moving at all. It's just kind of trickling through. So that really needs to be cleaned up, because all this stuff is backing up, and the water is just a mess right here. You can see it's all icky and disgusting. I've never seen it so bad before. I wouldn't even dare swimming in this now compared to a couple years ago. There's oil, garbage, all kinds of debris, and it's a real mess. So whoever is in charge of this, I'm hoping they either see the video or come to check on it, because that definitely needs to be cleaned up and fixed, because it's just going to get backed up even more and cause not only this to fill back up, but to get more polluted. At least if that was open, the oil and debris would be able to wash out. So, all right, so I got a little bit brave and pushed myself a little bit. Pretty close right now to the drainage port here. You can see it's a real mess. The screen is blocked up with mud and sticks and debris. There's just various bottles and other kinds of stuff. You can even see the water, though. It's not even really moving. So, I mean, even though it is draining, it is extremely restricted. So that's how it looks close up. And it's just nasty, smelly, disgusting water right now. So here we are on top of the dam. This is where all the water used to flow out of the lake. It's now a kind of a bright red color, almost like sandstone color. And this is looking right over the falls. And the water would flow outwards out under 502. I think this meets up with Roaring Brook, which is just a short distance away by 502 there. But this is also the location of Mountain Dips Coaster. Believe it or not, a roller coaster was all right here. And I'll try and give you an image right now showing you what it looked like. But that was a long, long time ago. Right down here, though, is where the valves are. That's where the pump house used to be, as we called it. It was a stone structure that housed those valves and pipes. And here's looking into the outlet. So Now that we have a look topside, we're going to make our way down there and give you a look at where the water is exiting beneath the dam. Okay, so in front of us here, we got a lot of stone that's kind of sprawled out here. This is a stone that was forming that structure for the pump house. So they kind of disassembled it, demolished it, and this is what's left of it. I just have to watch now for snakes because this is a area where snakes have been seen. So here's the valves. This is how they are initially drained the lake and now keeping the levels down. Now you might say, hey, the water's still flowing pretty good, and it is, but not how it used to be though. I mean, that water, as you saw on the other side, is stagnant and stale and pooling up. So my guess is either it's really blocked up over there and not allowing to flow as freely, or they closed the valves some, slowing down the flow, which is in return slowing down the exit of the water, the departure of the water. That's why it's stagnant and stale. So I can't verify either way what is true or false of that, but either way the water has slowed down and not flowing like it was. And here's a look at the dam from the other side. And again, it hasn't had water flowing over it since before December. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the updated look at Rocky Glen Park Lake here in Moosic, Pennsylvania. I don't have much to say. I said a lot of it throughout the video, my thoughts and opinions on it. Our best hopes is that this does get filled up again and is once again a beautiful lake to come and enjoy. Worst case scenario, this is how it's going to look for a number of years and eventually be developed either into housing or commercial. But until then, we're not going to worry about that. I'm just going to try and enjoy it while we can. A couple quick things I do want to mention though is that if you haven't already done so, follow the Rocky Glen Memories Facebook page. I think it has over 15,000 members. Many of those people are employees, people that came here as children, people that worked here, people that were married here, conceived here. It's just a great group of people. A lot of them have shared photos and videos and memories from the park. But more importantly though, each November, with the exception of this past one because of bad weather, Andy, the moderator of the group, does a walking tour here. Sorry, my nose is running and sweating. But each November we do a walking tour here where we gather in the lower lot, walk throughout the park, and Andy shares stats, information, photos, memories of what used to be here. He has a great collection of photos that he brings on his iPad and is able to show you before and after. And I typically document those tours, so if you ever want to see what those tours look like, just head down to my Rocky Glen playlist, and I have tours throughout the years. Last year we did a live stream version of it. Previous years I did do a edited version where I kind of showed the photos that he showed throughout the video. So we may try to do that again for this November, depending on weather and the lake situation. But if you did enjoy my effort today and appreciate what I do, the best way to let me know is to give the video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below, tell me what you think of what you saw here today. And if you have any suggestions or ideas for future videos, I'm always open to them. Don't forget you can find links down below for Facebook, the videos I mentioned, my t-shirt shop, and Patreon, where it allows you to make a small donation which will help fund future adventures. So with that said, thank you so much for watching today, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video. you.